Hello, viewers. Today, we bring you a captivating interview with two very creative minds, Pratap Bose and Ajay Saran Sharma, who have played a vital role in designing the Mahindra XUV 3XO, which was conceptualized at the Mahindra India Design Studio or M.I.D.S in Mumbai, engineered and developed at the Mahindra Research Valley or MRV near Chennai, and built at Mahindra's Nasik facility. So sit back and watch our interview as we find out what makes the XUV 3XO a real game changer in the segment. Hello and welcome to Turn of Speed, both of you. And we'd like to start off by asking you about your latest offer.
Thank you for having us. Of course, you are sitting in our latest, the 3XO, which is the baby of the XUV nameplate or family. But baby only in name and size. It has actually everything and more. The one we are sitting in, you can see, has what we call the sky roof. That's actually our nomenclature. It's not a sunroof, it's not a moon roof. It's a sky roof because you can see the sun, moon, stars and beyond. And that's a beautiful place to be. Brings in a lot of light, gives a sense of space. Already we are in the widest cabin in the segment. We're also in the longest passenger cabin in the segment. Ajay can maybe mention, Ajay heads our India studio and he can talk to you a little bit about the materials and colors and finishes we've used. Because XUV as a nameplate is about premium materials.
Right.
Ajay, why don't you just tell us a few things about some of the materials?
Thanks, Pratap. So, again, here the whole intent was to introduce a very, very premium, above class feel in the product.
Right.
That started with the color decisions we took. So, the color you see here called ivory white, this is something you typically see many segments above, but we brought that down to this segment.
Right.
At the same time, we have premium materials. So, leather, which is the most supple and the most classy in the segment. We've introduced that leather onto the door trims also, which no other product in this class has.
And all four, by the way.
And on all four door trims and on the IP as well, on the dashboard. And to highlight that effect, we've also introduced this beautiful, almost baseball glove-like stitching as well on the dash. Very premium piano black finish, not in your face at all, but extremely rich.
Ajay, just one thing I think worth mentioning is, when you wrapped or trimmed the IP, how did you get around the technical issue on the passenger side airbag?
So there we used a special material. It's called a deployable TPO wrapping, and that allows for the airbag to actually deploy. So there is no sort of dilution in the safety that the car is offering at all.
So we spoke about the 6 airbags,
Right.
and that's important safety feature. The big challenge was in that IP, because we were wrapping it,
Right.
but also had the airbag, the passenger airbag there. Now we didn't want either of those to go, right? So like Ajay is saying, we found the material, we found the technology, the technique to deploy the passenger airbag, but still trim the instrument panel.
Right.
So no loss in intent in terms of design, no loss in performance or safety at all.
So one thing we saw is that people really wanted premium features in a size which was convenient for them. So in the right size, I think we spoke about that in the presentation. They wanted a smaller footprint for the vehicle, for the car, but they wanted all the features.
Right.
So which is why I said it's a baby only in size in comparison to the 700, but in terms of ability and features, it's
At par, practically at par.
Tell us a little bit about the emotion you're trying to evoke, from buyers who are looking at buying the XUV 3XO.
So the XUV family itself is known for a certain dynamic performance. Velu and his team put some of the best powertrains into the XUV family and others in our range of Mahindra SUVs. But the XUV is known for dynamism, athleticism, and people really feel that thrill of driving, thrill of speed.
Right.
And they want that. They also want the connected features. They saw that we had brought in or introduced Adrenox in the 700, and a lot of them told us we want connected car features, we want ADAS as safety. So the emotion was to tie all of these wants from the customer into a package that they would appreciate, value, and truly love.
Right. You have in the past spoken about how difficult it is to pack a lot of things in smaller SUVs, smaller cars.
Yeah.
What were the other challenges, in terms of utilizing all kinds of available spaces?
Yeah.
Because we can obviously see, there's a
Lots of cubby holes. Yeah. We've
places for snacks.
Yes, there's also the wireless charging.
Right.
The glove box is a big one. We've got the phone holder
Charger,
here and the charger. The real clincher, I think, Ajay, you can correct me or add, is the amount of boot space we've been able to get. 364 liters.
364, yes.
And up to the seat back.
Right.
Of course, you can go higher, but then, like Belu said, sometimes things can come over if you brake, or you can obstruct your vision.
Right.
But we have measured 364 till the seat back, and also the 60-40 split in every variant
Right.
really gives you a lot. And I think that was really key in a 4 meter, because we can't change the 4 meter length.
Right.
That's the segment.
Right.
In that 4 meters, how do we really squeeze out every millimeter of space? Going back to your question, and that I think was a challenge that the team, both in design and engineering, really took up.
So, given the overall length of 4 meters, just to add to what Pratap is saying, that hasn't changed, but through a lot of fine tuning, shaving at the back, lowering the floor, etc., we managed to get the kind of space. So, that was something which people used to notice in the past, that it's not enough. That's addressed. Wheelbase again is best in class, so that
Look
gave
at
us
this,
a lot of space to play with, and everyone sits extremely comfortably no matter how tall.
Ajay, was there anything in particular about the 7 speakers from Harman?
So that's again a best-in-class audio experience that we've introduced. It's a Harman Kardon speaker with 7, like
but
you mentioned, Pratap.
Was there any packaging constraint in the back?
No, we
or-
were able to get the kind of tech we wanted without intruding on
That's
whatever
right.
that space
Because
is.
I think that's again, going back to the question, this trade-off between space and function, and tech or features that you want to bring in.
Right.
I think it's a very good overall balance. So you get a brilliant package. So when you're sitting in here, you actually don't realize you're in a 4 meter,
That's
car. Sub 4 meter, exactly. Sub 4 meter car. Everything you touch, feel, see, hold is premium. So
And the best-in-class wheelbase again has been used to the maximum extent, and it's been used in a clever
2.6
manner.
meters.
Yeah, exactly, 2.6.
Tell us a little bit about what you see is going to be a new trend that's coming in, especially in the sub 4 meter category.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have maximized and given most of what's possible in this segment. But what do you see as the upcoming trends?
I think a big change will be when electrification comes in to this size.
Right.
Usually born electric platforms are a little more, in fact, a lot more space efficient. So I think that will be the next milestone, that you bring in born electric architectures, and then in a smaller outer footprint, you can get a larger inner space.
Right.
And I think that is where the whole ball game will change. Yeah.
Also, another thing I'm really curious about is, sunroof. You have, given us a really big one here. Where do you see the whole sunroof thing, the whole game going? Because a lot of people are also not too happy with sunroofs.
Yeah, so,
they'd like an option. They'd
Yeah.
like an option not to have one.
That's right. So, and this is exactly what we've done. So the Pro option is the one with the
7L
the
has the
Ls.
panel,
Sorry, the
yeah.
Ls are the one with the pano roof. But you get a like for like product without that as well.
Equally featured and without.
So there's no loss of features. It's just going back to your question. It's just that one feature we realize that someone will either pay for or not want.
Right.
And so that's the one we've kept sort of
Right.
flexible across.
In the SUV genre, a lot of people almost expect it to be there as a default.
Right.
So there's more potential of a negative pushback saying it's not there.
Right. Do you see a sunroof compromising on safety at all?
Not at all. Not at all. If it did, we wouldn't use it.
We won't
Right.
put it there.
First of all, and I think globally, if you look, sunroofs are pretty standard now. Yeah.
Right.
Very, very mature technology.
Right.
So, and I think in terms of engineering, they've really reached that level where there's no sacrifice at all to torsion, safety, rollover, all of that.
Right. Any other challenges, in terms of, because you all keep designing so many other products and
Yes.
then, coming back to something smaller.
Yes.
Any kind of impediments?
I think, we are very lucky that the package of this vehicle, especially also in the width direction, means that you don't sacrifice on things like Mac pockets or bottle holders in the door.
Right.
Other products which are narrower, you of course, prioritize the occupant. So therefore, sometimes you'll see the doors and the door pockets are a little challenged. Yeah. So here we've literally got a more than C segment width of cabin.
Right.
And we didn't find that to be a problem at all. In fact, it really worked for us.
And no compromise on for example, it's got extremely strong shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
and the width allows us that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Otherwise, if you're growing the cabin, then the shoulders disappear,
Reduce.
and you get a very flat-sided SUV. But
Right.
in this case, it's marriage of
From the outside, it looks really fabulous. It looks very, very stylish. If you can tell us a little bit about the lines, the design lines.
Yeah. So like you saw in the presentation, I think good design can be described in the least number of lines. You don't need too many lines. So one is we've got a very strong what we call silhouette, Rachna, that really sets up how the car sits on the road. So both in the side view and the front and rear view, the cabin is really strong. We've got a nice long bonnet. Again, it almost signals the power and performance of the 3XO. Then in the hood or the bonnet itself, we've really spent a lot of time, energy, effort to sculpt it.
Right.
To again talk about the three amazing engines that Velu and team have introduced or use in this particular product. If you go around the side, like Ajay said, the fenders become the front haunches and then the rear haunches, and then along the side there's a very, very robust body cladding along the bottom. It gives you the impression that the car is actually higher, but it also protects the body from chips and all of that.
These are the beautiful little cuts.
Yeah.
rebates
Yes.
on the
Working
The little
it out.
rebate, just sometimes in the traffic you're so close to cars in city traffic that sometimes you don't see the whole car, right? So how do you build character in through design? Is these little things, the diamonds that you'll see on the C pillar, or the diamonds on the rear lamp, or these cuts like you mentioned on the wheel arches. You could sit in your car, not know what's next to you, but just see that little feature and you say, oh, that's a 3XO.
Right.
So of course things like DRLs and tail lamps are much more obvious because you can see them from a huge distance.
Right.
That's the whole point of them.
Right.
But they also become the face and identity of products, and I think here we've done a very, very, very subtle but nice but yet strong treatment of the front DRL, and of course the rear tail, what we call coast to coast or east to west lighting element, that bar. I think you will be able to recognize this car from literally kilometers, and there will be no mistaking. And I think those are those things, that you really use design to build or bring something different and some character in a vehicle.
Right. What's next?
Oh, what's next? I mean, we are working very hard, as you know, on the BEVs. We previewed some of those. Someone told me there's a 5-door Thar somewhere.
Yeah, even
I don't know. I've heard about it. But yeah, there's lots going on. Some you all know, some we've announced. But we're also thinking, in design we think 5, 10, 7 years ahead.
Right.
And but for the next few years we're totally busy.
jam-packed.
We're jam-packed. We have a few focus areas. HMI is one of them. There's much more information coming into cars. So where do you draw the line between driver distraction and giving actually the information that someone needs to operate the vehicle? We are seeing some return to physical buttons. That's something we're studying at least.
Right.
How do you, in a 3-screen format, how do you not overload the occupants with digital information? So those are actually some very big challenges for automotive design as a whole.
Right.
Not only us in Mahindra, but I think many of us in automotive design are grappling with some of these sort of opposing requirements, and that makes it very interesting.
Interesting.
Right.
Exciting.
What about AI? What's what's the role of AI?
AI in design?
Yeah.
So we are using a lot of HI, human intelligence, but we would like to start experimenting with AI as a tool. I always think taste, decisions on design which involve taste is a very, very human, nuanced sort of activity. But AI we can use to crunch time, for example. We can generate some concepts from in a particular direction which we are already working on. So we would use it as a tool, like we use Photoshop, like we use digital modeling, like we use even clay modeling. These are tools to design better, faster, more efficiently.
Right.
But I don't see it as a replacement for the creativity of the team we have. Just the complexity of what a product means in a certain social context, in a certain time, in a certain place. That is something human beings are able to understand really very, very well. Decisions like, okay, should we bring in leather or not? What materials? What does the sky roof mean to someone? When meaning is involved, I think HI is still number one.
Right. Great.
And AI is referencing the current always.
Yeah.
So like
Right.
Pratap mentioned,
It's a
5 years
mix of-
hence, 10 years hence. That's only something which the
Yeah.
HI part of the team does.
Yeah. So,
Right.
but here's to both of them actually.
Great. Thank you so much for talking to Turn of Speed, and we wish you the very best. for
Thank
you.
you,
your
thank you
future
Rachna,
design.
so much. Thank you, Turn of Speed. All
Thank
the
you.
best.